In the summer of 1705, under the gaslit streets and narrow alleys of Arnstadt, a moment unfolded in the life of Johann Sebastian Bach that reads more like a scene from a gritty novel than a footnote in a composer's biography. At 20 years old, already recognized for his talent at the organ, Bach had recently been appointed organist and music teacher at the new church. Alongside playing for services, he was saddled with the task of teaching a small ensemble of choir students and instrumentalists, a responsibility for which he felt neither vocation nor patience. The students, older than him and often unruly, chafed under his attempts to impose musical discipline. One among them was a bassoonist named Johann Heinrich Geyersbach. According to accounts, Geyersbach's playing, and perhaps his dedication, irked Bach. During a rehearsal, in a burst of exasperation, Bach reportedly referred to him with the insulting nickname Zapelfagottist. This old local term carried a stinging, contemptuous tone, roughly inept bassoonist, though some interpretations suggest cruder connotations. That insult stung. The bassoonist and several of his companions felt humiliated, and a few nights later the provocation triggered a confrontation. As Bach walked home from a concert, accompanied by his cousin, he passed the marketplace where Geyersbach and 5 of his allies had lain in wait. In the dim lantern light and cold night air, they confronted him. Geyersbach, stick in hand, demanded an apology. When Bach refused, the mood quickly turned violent. Geyersbach struck, labeling Bach a dirty dog. What ensued was a brutal scuffle. Bach, unarmed save for the small sword that was part of his court musician's attire, drew it in self-defense. He did not aim to kill, his rapier thrusts merely tore at Geyersbach's coat. The wounding of fabric, not flesh, was enough. Startled by the glint of steel and shocked by the unexpected ferocity of the reaction, the attackers scattered into the night. The next morning Bach presented himself before the town council, with his cousin as witness. He sought justice, a punishment for Geyersbach. And at the very least, the right to walk the town unmolested. But the verdict was unexpected. The council leaned toward leniency for the students. Geyersbach was admonished to behave. Bach was rebuked for having used the insult, and told to moderate his expectations of the musicians under his charge. He was also urged to restrain his temperament. The aftermath of that night had consequences far beyond a torn coat. The atmosphere between Bach and his charges became intolerable. Within months he renounced the teaching duties at Arnstadt. Seeking a new position, he left for Mulhausen, where he hoped for a fresh start, away from resentments, insults, and looming threats. There he would pick up a new job. One that would eventually lead him deeper into his musical calling. This episode, a bas-relief of tension, pride, and raw human emotion, stands in stark contrast to the serene, pious image often projected onto Bach's legacy. Here was a young man devoted to music, yes, but also impatient, proud, fiercely protective of his standards. The scene reveals a man who valued discipline, integrity, structure, but who also understood that such values sometimes required bold gestures. Under moonlight and under threat, he defended not only his person but his dignity and artistic conviction. Seen retrospectively, the sword scuffle at Arnstadt becomes more than a juvenile brawl, it becomes a symbol. A symbol of what it meant to be a young artist in early 18th century Germany, caught between ecclesiastical expectations and the roughness of provincial towns, between reverence for the divine and the earthy impulses of human pride, between the purity of music and the crude urges of violence and insult. That night, Bach didn't only draw a sword, he etched a version of himself that refused to bend compromise. He left Arnstadt soon after, not just as a musician unhappy with pupils, but as a spirit seeking a place where his extraordinary expectations could find worthy soil. The seeds of greatness sometimes sprout from harsh soil. In this moment, as bizarre as it sounds, we glimpse a spark that perhaps helped shape the uncompromising rigor. The deep passion, and the uncompromised artistic integrity that would characterize Bach's music for decades to come.